All right, we're live. If you're here right now, I know I see it's two people right now in YouTube. Let me set up the other spaces here. All right, I got some. All right, I gotta see where this noise is coming from.
It's not coming from me yet.
What's good? All right, so I see over here. So if you're here right now, bear with me. I'm just fixing this noise situation. What's over here? What's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, technology is funny sometimes. And right now, I have sounds coming from places that I don't even know where it's coming from. So, okay, I've turned it off on. All right, and I got music playing from. I don't even know where this music is coming from.
You got hacked. They told you you said you were bringing Brother Tyson back
I swear,
on the
like it's
podcast,
like we just got
and
hacked here.
they said, oh no, oh no, not Brother Tyson.
All right, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I think I found where that one was coming from. All right, if you're here right now, tech is sucks sometimes because you can't control everything. But we're gonna do this real quick. Let me make sure I have LinkedIn is on and popping right now. Let me go ahead and set up for Twitter because we're streaming on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We're streaming on YouTube and as well as Facebook. So let me go ahead and put Twitter in here. So please bear with me. Y'all know I like to make sure that this is being done the right way. Got right here. And what's going on Twitter? Here we go. Twitter is on. All right. All right. Listen, don't forget about that. Listen, if you're on Twitter right now and something's happening with Twitter where it's pushing audio through, so I don't know what's going on with that. So if you do me a favor, you jump on to YouTube and you go to UL Njoku, or if you go on to LinkedIn as well, I'm there. But let's not waste any more time, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday night. It's 10 p.m. It is October 19th, and this is the first episode of Ivy League Hoodrats, and it's funny because we're gonna tell a story about how this even came up. I'm here with my brother Archie Tyson, and Archie, please introduce yourself. I'm over here discombobulated with all these tech issues.
No, I'm one person. I'm not plural. I don't
What's your
have a
pronouns?
the command. He, him, his. I'll take the pronouns, but I don't have the multiple personalities there. I'm not knocking the folks who possibly do. It's just not my medical diagnosis. I do have some other problems though. But glad to be back. Well, I guess I'm not back on the show because I was on Sneaker Principle podcast, but this is a whole different
Whole
monster
different
altogether.
space.
Um, Archie Tyson, a humble servant, an educator, worked in nonprofit sector of education. Love kids, love families, love communities, love being able to support and help people grow. A tinkerer, a thinker. Like to exchange ideas, but also like to tell the truth. I'm too old, too fat, too black, too many degrees to be trying to figure out how to be someone else, yeah, I say I'm an Ivy League hood rat. I don't even code switch it. I just I do me. Some days
So
I feel like suits and bow ties. Some days I feel like hoodies and J's, and I'm unapologetic about it altogether.
let's tell the folks here. How did this whole concept please first come to being? Do you
Ooh.
remember when we first talked about Ivy League Hoodrats? What was happening?
I mean, I mean, no, no, refresh me. What was happening?
We were talking about our time at Columbia, and I think we referenced the citizens in that community who were grabbing their bags when we would walk by, because
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden our program upped the population of colored folks in that building by a good
Well, let's just
20-30%.
let's name it specifically the population of black males, right? And specifically darker skinned black males and larger black males with beards and dreads and bald heads, that had chains and earrings and tattoos. We showed up on campus and there was I I don't know. Hopefully, this isn't racist, sexist classes or whatever. But where I'm from, we just call it a kung fu monkey grip that people do on purses, right? When and it still happens to me today. Uh, I'm in Memphis. I'm in Memphis right now at a nice hotel in downtown Memphis, and I guarantee you, I'm in my support black colleges. It says support black colleges. So college educated is something. Yeah, somebody's gonna do the grip on the purse there, but it still happens, right? So it was happening to us when 2009, 2010,
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
and I'm working on a doctorate now, and I would tell you, I'm on campus in my Jordans. It still happens. So I said it doesn't just happen in spaces that are supposedly red or conservative or whatever. Nope, in the bluest of crystal blue spaces, people seem to grip their purses when they, you know, see me coming, and it's fascinating. And I think we dug in because it was that story when I was in East Harlem walking in a Brooks Brothers suit, and I had a pink. It was a tan suit with a
The
pink
pink tie,
pink shirt,
big, big bow
bow
tie.
tie, and all, and briefcase. And I'm walking down the street, and the lady in East Harlem on Second Avenue, not far from Ricardo's, grips her purse. It was not far from Jefferson House. It's like, oh, come on, if I'm robbing out here, I want to be conspicuous. I want to be able to blend in. 6 foot, 300 pound bald head black dude in a Brooks Brothers suit,
Can you
pink
imagine?
shirt
Can
and
you imagine
tie.
calling the cops, giving that description? That description.
What do you have on? What do you have on? Brogues. He had on brogues, some Tom Ford glasses, the big torch shell was, and you're gripping your cheap fake purse.
And
It's
one more
like,
thing, he had a big pink bow tie. Pink
right.
bow tie.
you know, and so it's incidents like that where I say, I just choose to be myself. I'm not gonna be Ivy League the way you want me to be Ivy League. I'm not gonna be hood the way you want me to be hood because I'll be hood. I guess I'm an Ivy League hood rat. So I wear it proudly. I brand it proudly. I'm all about education, uplifting yourself, and I've just gotten to the point where I'm not putting on dress shoes.
Yeah, it's interesting because to me the fact that we're two, we grew up in two different spaces. I grew up in Los Angeles, South Central LA, Inglewood. My brother here from
Inglewood,
Memphis, you know,
Inglewood.
and
That was too much
we.
red to think.
But you know what though, Inglewood is a blood hood, so it's all good. But
I
not
know what I'm
promoting not
saying.
promoting gang violence for those people who are sensitive. But the fact of the matter, we crossed paths and we became brothers at Columbia and at Teachers College, where we were working on our masters in leadership. So, and eventually, I became a principal. He became a principal, and interestingly enough, what about a year and a half apart, we transitioned out of education.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we didn't transition fully out of education.
No,
I
no,
think
out of the school building.
right, we transitioned out of the school building, which I have my thoughts and some people say I don't have feelings. That's a whole different day. But I have my thoughts and feelings about black men that certainly are capable and able to serve as great principals, and why we are walking, because it's just not us. I know several other folks that have walked away and have went to other careers or went to other spaces in education, and it kind of makes me think, what type of more support is needed, because everyone talks about how, oh, we need black males teachers and black male principals. 70% of the teachers are white females, right? And the numbers for black males are dismal. But I'm just curious, like some of the things I think I want to be researching in the future is, why is it so unhealthy for us? What are those expectations that's placed on us to undo all of the isms and systems that create conditions that are absolutely grotesque, that sometimes we're brought in as the lionized leader to solve. So it's fascinating. But I don't think we don't walk away from education. I think we transition to be able to continue to serve communities and families in a different way. And sometimes I always say deepening impact, because I think from my post now and from your post now, we're not able to just impact one local school community, or one or two or three schools. We kind of have the potential to be able to impact many more communities, and I do think that very much black men are also needed in those seats to make decisions. I've been rambling too long, brother.
Yeah, but you know
You got
what
to
though?
cut me
I
off.
mean, but the thing is that what you're saying is it's making me think about a couple of things. Number one, how like we started this conversation talking about how we came to this title, Ivy League Hoodrats, and because of the reactions to our presence in certain spaces. But I also think there's a reaction to our presence in school building spaces and then other spaces as well. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is like having been in the school building for 17 years, and recently I had a conversation with somebody talking about how I fell into leadership, and it was for the wrong reasons. Because what happened is I got made a dean off like off the bat, like I think you'd be a great dean. And I thought to
Yeah,
myself at
but
the
just
moment, like, you know what?
handle,
Wow, I got a promotion, but it wasn't a promotion.
handle those colored children, right? You know how
Exactly.
to handle them, right?
Exactly.
I'm not gonna show you how to be a great instructional leader. I'm not gonna show you how to run the school budget and set up operations and program this system. I just want you to handle those children that are, that I don't want to build a relationship with.
So, question.
Because
Go
I
ahead. Go
would
ahead.
say, when you build relationships with kids, they'll walk on water for you. They'll walk through walls for you. If someone's bothering you on the street, they will swarm. I've seen kids swarm the new kid. New kid comes to a school and accidentally bumps into the wrong teacher. You don't know that that's their favorite teacher. They will defend you. It's about relationships. So you want to bring the black guy in and say, oh, handle these kids that I don't want to build a relationship with. So that's the cop out, how I always say black men end up in these deans of discipline roles, and I've certainly been there, culture roles, and nothing wrong with it. I think building strong community culture is absolutely critical. And
Yes.
don't pigeonhole folks. Like, make sure that there are opportunities to be able to lead and continue to grow. And luckily, more. Well, I don't know if more was saw you at the time, but like, you knew intrinsically that you had more to offer, more to give. But a lot of folks get stuck in these roles and then they don't know what to do. And I call it out, especially at charters, where folks sometimes are not encouraged to get certifications, right? And I'm not saying certifications are the all or be all, because sometimes that can be certainly a problem with black and brown teachers all over the place. But when you don't encourage folks to strengthen their professional options, right, you really do pigeonhole them into just corral these black and brown boys, and try and make sure they're not getting into air quote trouble, because I
But
don't
but
want to
you
build a relationship with them.
yeah, but at the same time, and would you agree at the same time this kind of causes a burnout with black
Oh
men,
yeah.
with black males who are put in that position, because now you become, especially if you're not aware, you become like the not the warden, but like the
Man,
what's the proper
you
term?
did.
What's that?
I'm
You're that person who Go ahead. I'm trying to find the
I'm
right
a,
word.
I'm gonna take it back to eighth grade, or sixth grade, seventh grade, depending on what type of school. I went to school in the hoods. I don't know when we read the Giver, right? Some people read stuff early. I can't curse on here, right?
Let's try not to.
Try not to. Okay, cool.
There might be some. Listen,
I'm
if
working
it slips out, we'll apologize.
overtime.
We can apologize. We can apologize for it.
I'm working overtime. I must understand. I'm a doctoral student. Full time work, and I'm full time father, 5 year old, 4 year old, 1 year old. So, okay, all right, I'm gonna work at it. But I think that now I lost that train of thought. What
So,
was
so,
I?
so I was saying, as the dean becomes the the only way okay, this is the closest description I have, and this might be a poor description, but back in the day, where you have that one Negro in the field that you were like, you
Oh
know what
yeah,
though, I'm gonna give you a piece of chicken if you just keep them under control.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
become the internal snitch and everything
yeah.
that's wrong with that in that space.
The dean becomes Hopping Bob. You know, if y'all watch it, black folk, y'all should know. Everybody needs to go watch Life. You know, it just had every great comedian
Exactly,
in it, and I don't
exactly.
know how they ever finished it. But Hopping Bob,
Hopping
Hopping
Bob.
Bob, he was a prisoner. But he also had a title and a position. He even got to carry a gun because he patrolled the gun line. Keep him in the gun line, boss. And that's honestly, again, about relationships. People don't want to build relationships with students, and that's what I was going to say. Sometimes in those type of roles, you become the giver, right? You take on, and what happens with the burnout is you take on everything, all the emotion, all the pain, the lost students, their parents' issues, the evictions, the kids that are hungry, the kids that don't have coats, the kids that are making straight A's. That you take on all of that, and you can say that it doesn't impact you, but it does. I
Yeah.
mean, it just absolutely does. And um, it will burn you out. It's a lot to take on. And who's the gatekeepers? Who's watching the mental health of the black men that oftentimes occupy that role? Um, Not many. Folks will let you burn out because you can take it, right? We can take it. Because we're from the hood and we done been through a lot of stuff, and oftentimes we do take it because we I know what happens if these young men are not given an opportunity. I'm back here in my hometown in Memphis. I know people that are smarter than me, way smarter than me, right? And I'm not supposedly I'm working on a doctorate in Columbia, right? I know people that are way smarter than me and serving 55 years in the federal
Yeah.
penitentiary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I
And the
know people
same.
that's way
Yeah.
smarter than me that I can visit not far from here that are in the grave, didn't make it. Right? So I know what happens if they're not given an opportunity. So I, as this young brother, whoever in the school, like I'm gonna work and give everything I got trying to ensure that I can save as many as possible, right? And it is a tiresome burden, and yeah, it can absolutely cause you to burn out, and especially when you're not taking care of yourself because you're literally taking care of kids and your work. You know that your work is life and death. I
How,
lost a kid. One of my favorite students on the planet was murdered in Baltimore City on September the
yeah.
2nd,
Yeah. You told me
2022.
about that.
Right. And our work is just life and death. We teach kids how to make good decisions in places that they got to be able to be quick and make good decisions because, a bad decision one way or another it can be over with. So that alone, it can burn you out. I mean, it just is what it is. But when you get a college invitation, it's nothing like that, right? Especially for a kid that hated your guts and only went to school to actually prove you wrong. Go to school and be spiteful of me pushing you hard. So long as you got that piece of paper that's going to allow you to have a different set of opportunities you might not necessarily have. So, but it's tiresome work, and if no one's watching and helping us to renew and refresh ourselves, yeah, we'll find ourselves very, very much burned out and or not even paying attention to advancement opportunities, and that's just not fair. Not to mention that I just make the assumption that people underpay Black people across the board, so we got to
Hmm.
fight for market value. So oftentimes, folks that are coming from situations are offered $60,000 for a position that they actually are, they're doing 85, $90,000 worth of work, but you're paying me significantly less than you're paying this person that's sitting as the give me one of those titles that folks have.
Right, right.
Chief
And
of chief of
that's
success
that chart.
strategy.
That charter school world.
Charter
Right.
school world, hell,
You
some of them at the
creating
district,
titles. Yeah.
some of them at a lot of them a lot of them at district offices have instructional facilitator. And I ask you to come to my class, and
And they
teach
can't
this
do
simple
nothing.
class. You telling me you can't teach the kids how to find the slant height of a pyramid, and you're supposed to be the instructional facilitator for math? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm blunt, so I just call stuff out. Right. I get in trouble for it.
I want to double back real quick too. First of all, my condolences to you and that young man's family in Baltimore. The beginning of the 2021 school year, about a week before we started, we had a young man who was murdered in Brooklyn. And this was a young man. This was the first student that I interacted with when I got to my my previous school, the high school that I just left. And when we returned to the campus during the pandemic for summer school, he was the first student that I saw as well. And he was shot in the head in Brooklyn, and just ridiculous, senseless situation. And and what you're saying made me think about the fact that I just remember when I heard about that, the weight of and pressure that put on my shoulders, because as men who care about our students and about our communities, and we pour so much into of ourselves, even our financial resources to support
Yeah.
families, to support young people. And I remember when they told me that, I was numb. I mean, I just sat there because I was like, nah, it can't be. It can't be. It just can't be this young man. And I'll say his name, Anthony. I was like, can't be Anthony. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way in the world. And then
Yeah.
and I remember when it hit me, it's exhausting, because especially when you put in that role to be the enforcer, then but rather than being an enforcer, you become that spook that sat by the door instead, and you know what you're doing. You're building culture, you're building capacity, you're shifting things, and as I did in the schools where I was a dean. But then I was fortunate because I at least had somebody who's willing to see my capabilities and push me towards becoming an assistant principal, push me towards becoming a principal. But a lot of men don't get that. They get pigeonholed in that position, and they get kept there until that what should be a fruitful career becomes you know what, I can't do this no more. Because
Right.
again, the longer I'm in the system, the fewer brothers that I see who are making it, to principalships, to running schools, to building
Well,
authentic cultures.
and that's because when they get pigeonholed, you don't get an opportunity to run. Like I always say, well, when I get an opportunity to run my own school, I'm not gonna do all the straight line. Let me make sure that you don't have any pizzazz personality or culture, and let me make sure that everything about you and your Black culture and your Black self is driven out of you. No, wear Jordans, wear Brogues, wear Oxfords. Do not wear your J's. You know how great it feels for a kid to have a brand new pair of J's. If I pull my foot up right now, I got a pair of black, red, and white J's on it. I feel great. Why? Because I'm from the hood. It's like if you don't get it, I mean, I'm not gonna take a thesis. I'm not gonna write a thesis and make you understand what that means to folks that are but a crispy pair of J. If you don't get the expression where I'm saying crispy, right? I just do the. That's my substitute because when people find
Yeah.
out you're working on a doctorate at Columbia. Oh, I get the double O. That's what I call. Oh, So in return, I just go
Do you ever get the
long breath.
which Columbia? You ever get that?
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
this,
yeah. I definitely get that because again, I sometimes I'll sound like I'm in the city and I'll rhyme my vowels, and then sometimes I just what going on, man? Like, but that's just me. But I think that again, it's kind of getting back to what we are saying. Like I said, when I get a chance to run my school, I'm going to do things different. I want kids like I'm first day of first day of classes. Kids thought they were gonna get all the rules shot at them. Like, no, we're gonna do an activity called hearing student voices. Everybody break up across the school. Go to go with in small groups with this adult, and like here goes some topics and questions, and we're just gonna talk. What are your dreams?
yeah,
Do you dream? Like, do you dream? You find out kids want to be train conductors, kids want to be architects, and you find out that some kids want to be underwater welders. You're like, what? Like, where did you even? They saw it on the Discovery Channel. So I'm like, we need more folks to make it out of positions and not get burned out, so they can have the opportunity to do things differently at their school, right? You be the leader and you do things differently culturally, right? I used to argue with my former boss quite consistently on Fridays. No, I'm not taking the sneaker component. No, like we're gonna keep that. Oh, I don't like, when people really believe in this black excellence politics, which is a load of crap, because it doesn't matter how my cocoa skin is going to lead. No matter, it doesn't matter if I would have came on this podcast in a beautiful suit, pinstripe blue, crispy white shirt, polka dot tie, throw on, nice cufflinks, and I could have shaved my whole beard. It doesn't matter. My cocoa skin is gonna show up first, right? So if you're worried about me wearing a suit and some Jordans in the boardroom, then that's on you, right? Because again, I already said I'm too old, too fat, too black, too many degrees to be, trying to be someone else at this point, right? And I'm not gonna be incarcerated by capitalism. I'm not gonna be incarcerated by, all this right here. Nope. I'm not gonna be incarcerated by the super woke liberal mob, who wants to. Yeah, this is where it gets interesting for folks because yeah, I very much believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and will fight for it to tooth and nail. And woke liberal mob, slow down, relax, slow down, relax. When you start to sound as crazy as the, MAGA Trumpians, like we have a problem because you need to admit also that you're contributing to toxic polarization in the country, right? We're the toxic polarization. We're at an interesting bubble. If you look at the stats, if you look at what was going on in the country before the Civil War, it's kind of scary, right? And again, when folks on the left are contributing also in the same way the folks, well, in a different way the folks on the right, you don't get an opportunity to have a conversation there. And plus, I always say the super woke liberal left, they don't want me to live next door half the time either, right?
that's
Or
true.
they don't want me and you to live next door. One or two dark skinned cocoa families, that, play rap music and we drive a Volvo, right? I blend in pretty well in a Volvo, right? I don't get pulled over by the police in the Volvo. You know that, right? That's a whole, we'll talk about
Yeah,
cars and,
we gotta talk
getting
about
pulled over
that.
by the police in a whole nother episode. Somebody was like, what? They're going out to get a Volvo. I'm not endorsing Volvo in any way. I'm just saying, like, uh, for some reason, I haven't been pulled over by the police in this Volvo ever. And this is like a record for me. Because
Man,
Larry will tell you, like
but
like
bro,
he
when was
knows,
the
like
last time you heard somebody talk about their Volvo in a rap song?
this is an experiment I've been running. I got it in 21. This is an experiment, right? We got rid of that black Mercedes truck that had black windows. Got a Volvo, same black tinted windows, same percent. I have never been pulled over in this Volvo. I'm gonna
So if you're
knock on
listening,
wood
so
because
if
it
you're
might.
listening right now, and you trying to never get pulled over again, get a Volvo. But we're not
Because
endorsing, we're not
why?
endorsing Volvo.
Because black people from the hood don't drive Volvos.
I'll be honest with you,
And
I don't think I've ever seen a Volvo in the hood.
in my hood, we used to joke that if you got a Subaru, you get your black card revoked, right? But guess what? You're not gonna get pulled over by. I like you idiots selling drugs. Never mind. I'm not gonna even say that. But and I'm just like y'all riding around in Escalades get pulled over by federal folks. I was just like, if you're black in a Subaru, you just never get pulled over. They just assume that they assume that you fully assimilated into
They're like,
uh,
listen, only
white
Carlton could be in
male
that.
dominance.
Only Carlton could be in that car. There's no way in the world that's not Carlton.
But it's so crazy. It's just true. Like you can again, I can go get rid of this XC90 today and go get a GMC Denali that might cost somewhere in the same price range or
You
whatever.
don't get pulled
I'm gonna
over.
get pulled. I'm gonna get pulled over. I guarantee you. I'm running the experiment. I do these little side experiments just to see how long things can go, and it's interesting there. So um, people on Ivy League Hoodrats like, wow, like how did they get to the
They're like,
Bobo?
what,
And
yeah, they're like, what are you talking about? So real quick, if you're listening right now, this is this is the first episode of the Ivy League Hoodrats. Myself, Uche and Joku, my brother Archie Tyson, both graduates of Columbia University, where we did our master's work in education leadership. My brother's there doing his doctoral right now, and I'm actually an applicant right now, trying to trying to get back into that space. And I don't know. Sometimes I see him a little stressed. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do a doctor's anymore. Like that sounds like a
man,
lot of work.
but you got to do it, right? I always say, we're our ancestors'
Yeah,
wildest dream. Well, for me, I'm ancestors' wildest dreams, and if I told my grandmother before she went on to the next place that I don't even need to doctor for my job right now. But I told my grandmother before she went to the next place that I would do it. And if she chopped cotton in the Mississippi cotton field from can't see to can't see with mosquitoes, snakes, scorpions, and everything else out there in blistering heat, if you ever actually pull cotton, it cuts your fingers up because those bulbs are sharp. If she did all that, I'm sure, and spread this word for all these lazy folks who this is too much, it's too hard, this, that, and the other. You're not the first person. You're not the first single mom with 3 kids is working 2 jobs that don't did
yeah.
a doctorate. You're not the first dad who's had to sit and spend, Sundays instead of watching football working on. You're not the first, and you're not going to be the last. But just in comparison to the experience that my grandmother had, my grandfather had, and my other grandparents had, chopping cotton, and I can't. I'm eating well and light, and all I have to do is read some books and write some papers and do some thinking, do some talking, and I don't have to, be out here in 100-degree cotton field sharecropping.
You know what?
So you
I
think,
got to piggyback on that because you know my story. My both my grandfathers were yam farmers in West Africa. So again, digging that earth under the British colony and all that other stuff and civil wars and everything else. So you're right. Listen, reading a couple hundred pages is light work, light work to compared to what they did to ensure that I could even be here right now. So
I mean,
facts.
I forget where um, I was at an event in DC. It was the International Boys School Coalition event. My former school was a member, and Randall Kennedy talked about micro. Well, I don't know. It was a conversation that popped up with microaggressions. He was very frustrated. And for those who don't know, Randall Kennedy, brilliant lawyer, law professor. I think it's his law professor at Harvard. Um, still, but um, he was just perturbed by like younger folks, that all these microaggressions bother them. It's like when he was in school trying to make it through, there were microaggressions, there were macro in your face aggressions
Mm-hmm.
and macro in your face racism, classism, sexism, like, and they had to figure out a way to push through. And it's like, where is the resiliency? One little microaggression by a professor, and you're ready to quit.
People falling apart.
If we literally quit every time somebody ripped their purse, I've had people run from me in New York City at the train station tonight. I've had people speed walk away from me while I'm on campus at the university and an ID clipped to my like. like if I quitted every microaggression, like, are you serious? And your grandmothers and our grandfathers out here, and nothing wrong with being a yam farmer. That's definitely honorable laboring. But like, are you serious? Like, all I gotta do is read some books and write some papers. I can't do that to at least honor them. Come on now, what are we
To
talking
further
about
to
here?
to further that legacy.
To further that legacy and just taking places where they didn't get a chance to like they
Exactly.
didn't get a chance to do it. I mean, I was at Ida B. Wells' statue earlier down here in Memphis. So just shout out to everybody in Memphis that worked hard to get the statue of this black woman who sounded the alarm bells 100 and some years ago about all the lynchings that were taking place, documented all of them. It took 100 years for her to get a statue in Memphis after they ran out of town. But I'm just reminded of just the tremendous work and risk that so many people took, and including the sisters out there took in trying to ensure that we had the opportunity to take it all away and try and be someone's wildest dream. So why not, like why not honor that legacy? So I think is how many statues of black women. I need to Google it, but I know like the three that I'm aware of: Harriet Tubman, which we took pictures outside
Right.
of
Yeah. Right in
when we
Harlem.
we graduated right in Harlem. We graduated. I thought we were a gang out there. That
Yeah.
was funny.
They
Too
thought.
many black men walking together.
Yeah. But the funny thing was, so, what were we carrying? Red, sunflowers.
Yeah, we were carrying flowers that we put in her statue just to honor her before our graduation, and they called the police and thought we were a gang. It was
Cars were
like,
slowing
wow,
down. Like
these
they're wearing suits with flowers.
flower toting brothers in suits. Oh my God, we thought we eradicated all of them when Brother Malcolm was killed, but nope, they're back. So yeah, that was interesting. But like, yeah, so Fannie Lou Hamer is down in Ruleville,
Okay, I didn't know about that one.
Mississippi. So yeah, great state of Mississippi has a statue of Fannie Lou Hamer down in Ruleville, down in her hometown. And for those who don't know Fannie Lou Hamer, you should know her. Shame on you. Shame on you. Don't be one of those brothers that don't, know that sisters, what is that big fancy word people like to use? Undergird. Sisters undergirded everything that was
Really?
happening. So, but it just reminds me there's so many people that we know that we should feel like we owe, but just so many more people that we should honor, and so many of our own personal ancestors that we need to just honor by trying to be the best versions of ourselves and continue to deal with all this craziness out here, but be the best version of ourselves and make sure that we take it all away, because they certainly may not have had those opportunities there. Well, that's what I meant.
So you brought up you brought first of all before we move forward. Listen, if you're listening right now, you already know the deal. If you want to join in this conversation, you just want to drop a word, whatever the case may be, you could jump on by typing into the URL tinyurl.com/tsp-video-guest, and you will be forwarded right into this conversation. You don't have to show your face, but I know some of y'all are scared, because you don't want to get in trouble with your principal, your administration, wherever you may be. But listen, and if you want to be on the camera, you can join us with that. Either way, we respect your anonymity. But also, if you're struggling with technology, you can shoot me an email at ask@thesneakerprinciple.com and just put in there, I have something to say, and I'm checking my email right here. And if you want me to call you, we'll call you into the episode. So again, feel free to jump on and join us anytime you want. But question,
Who's
we'll
firing
talk.
people? Bro, who's firing people?
Listen.
Get
Okay.
your principal in a minute. I'm like, are y'all crazy? Like, do not let anyone like everybody is hiring right now
But
in
listen,
education,
listen,
outside of
listen.
education.
But education is
Some of y'all
tripping.
scared
Nah,
to
but
leave. Some of
they're
y'all
tripping right
scared to
now.
leave New York.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all scared to leave. They're racist down there in Alabama. Have you been around New York? Um, have you called a restaurant lately to get a reservation? Ask a black person what voice they use.
Oh,
right?
my name is I can't even say Uche and Joku. Red flag. I'm like,
No, 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 no,
this
no,
is
no, no.
Larry McWeathers calling calling for a reservation.
Sometimes I pull the. I'm calling on behalf of Archie M. Archie M. Tyson. Um, Calling from his office. He needs to make reservations for important clients. Man, all of our agents show up at King Steakhouse or Peter Luger's or something.
Okay,
It's interesting.
hold on. You know we got a story to tell. We have a story to tell. The year was was that 2010, 2009 at the Princeton Club when me, you,
Oh,
Carland and Kevin, who else was there?
yeah, we
Rashid
brought yeah we
went to the
yeah
Princeton Club. And for those of you who don't know what the Princeton
who
Club
else?
is, this is all the Ivy Leagues have their own alumni clubhouses. And so happens that Columbia and at that point in time, Columbia and Princeton shared the same clubhouse. So I became a member because my bougie self had to do it. And not only that, I had to do it also for my yam farmer grandfathers who would never get a chance to step foot in the Princeton Columbia Club, right? So my first invitation was to my brothers, who are all classmates of mine at Columbia. Archie, what was happening while we were talking?
Oh man,
As we
I
sat in the
mean
restaurant,
it it
what kind of
was
music were they
shit.
playing?
It it. Hold on,
I
did
gotta
they
laugh at it.
change?
We
Did
walked in
they
there and
change?
they were playing like classical jazz or something like that.
Right.
We sat
And
down,
they
all of a
changed it to
sudden it was Biggie playing and Mary J. Blige. I was like,
right.
what?
Yeah, yeah, you are right because all of us were kind of talking and kind of stopped like, did
Is
they
that Mary
just
J.
flip the music here? So I was like, the DJ is upstairs, like, yo. I'm about to make them like they finna turn around and look and know that we see you, dog. We see. I'm normally not allowed to play this, right? Because I can
Yeah,
only play, most.
the funny thing is this. First of all, I remember sitting there and I was just like, what's going on? Because they're not playing no kind of hip hop at the Princeton Club. That's not happening. And I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, okay. We just darkened the place up. So somebody, in my opinion, I was thinking to myself like, yo, somebody got jokes now. I'm not. Listen, I love Mary J. Blige. I love my hip hop and R&B, but uh, Archie, I've been to that place so many times. I've never, not once, heard R&B or hip
Man,
hop ever played.
we rolled up in there deep, tattoos, chains. We didn't roll up in there all. We didn't roll up in there how they wanted us to roll up in there. I said this to a class of students. At the principal can, I probably got in trouble for it. Well, I didn't get in trouble for it, but yeah, I forgot that sometimes people want to set the standard of ensuring that folks have their professional dress because I do agree that have put in the work, right? Don't just go show or say Tyson said show up and dress how you want to. No, that ain't what I said, right? Put in the work so that if you decide that I'm going to abandon Jordans or I'm going to Dashiki's another brother, Dr. Barnes. Like he wears dashiki, he ain't wearing nothing else, right? I almost went that route. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I got started missing my suits, but I don't miss my Jordans and all that stuff, my Yeezys and all that. But and somebody's gonna comment about, oh, you said Yeezys and go down the Kanye West path. Uh, if you don't have any brothers and sisters and you lose your mom who you love and adore, and you write a song inside and says, I went through deep depression when my mama passed, suicide. What kind of talk is that? Just know that's a call
Yeah,
for help, and people,
yeah.
need help. That doesn't take away from your creative genius. That doesn't take away your ability to make money. But just think about it. Regular old me, I should probably be in therapy. They just told me that I was what is that, impervious to psychiatric probing. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? I just said, I'm from the hood. Like, don't give me no advice that doesn't fit for my particular
He
circumstances. The
said
DSM-5
impervious.
manual is not
You're
written.
impervious to
It's
psychiatric
it's
therapy.
written, the norm because our white dominated European culture, the norm is to write everything based off of its relation to white, especially white maleness. So this manual isn't necessarily written for the problems that are that I may be facing as a little black boy coming up in the hood of Memphis, right? And certainly it is not written for the kind of problems that I may be facing as a black man trying to navigate the holes and just the spaces of these predominantly white institutions, and in particular Ivy League institutions, right? Oh, I just been to Columbia. I've also done a certificate at Harvard, and had a people like, oh damn, he might be halfway decent, brother Joku, right? But I always say like what shaped me. I started out in college. I was in Morris Brown before they lost their accreditation stuff, so I went to HBCU, and then I ended up going and finishing out at Grinnell College, a little small liberal arts college in the middle of Iowa, right? So, oh yeah, I've been all over the place, and I love it, right? It gives me perspective, right? I get up close and get to see people in different type of settings and environments there. But they don't write books or these large manual books that have traditionally been written have not necessarily had us in mind. In recent years, yes, more work certainly has been done. But it's kind of like when what is this, the when iPhone and stuff first popped up and came out. Oh, that was a picture of my lovely wife there. Shout out Jeanette, better half, definitely my better half for all those who know me personally. Um, FaceTime struggled to catch darker skinned people and open the phone because the algorithms weren't written and
Yeah.
people were literally designing. That's a part of my job now, is to ensure that products and services we're thought about. Accessibility and all these things are thought about on the front end, but in a lot of industries and spaces, we're still not thought about in the design process. And we're taking, it's like going to the doctor, right? If everything you learned in medical school and the norm was based off of how it reacts to white people of a certain age, and you're trying to give me advice about blood pressure, you don't know how black people, like what we eat, like
Dietary and
how are
all
you
those
going to
things.
give me
Yeah.
nutritional like like you need to kind of have some understanding. It's as simple as what was the story with the neonatal nurse, and why she said that they need more black representation in healthcare, because the white nurse left the room and she was writing up a psych order for a black lady who single mom, I think, who was in the living room, and she said, why are you writing it up? And she said, oh, she keeps doing this right here to her head. She keeps hitting herself in the head. And the black was like, okay, stop what you're doing. That's how we have our hair done. That's how we're trying to scratch our head, because we don't want to. It's just that simple, right? She just didn't know, but she was about to write a psych order and send a black mom who was trying to give birth to the psych ward to go give birth because she misinterpreted something that's very much would be easy for a 10-year-old in a black
Yeah.
community to point out.
But
So
then it's
you
funny
just
because,
need people in
yeah.
different spaces.
But it's funny because as I'm hearing that, I'm thinking about like how that reflects itself in schools and the classrooms when little black and brown kids say certain things or do certain things that I wouldn't even blink at twice because I'm just like, I know what that means. Maybe they use language and it's like, okay, that was not meant to be an insult or offense. It's just language that's culturally relevant. And then all of a sudden that kid's in detention or that kid's getting suspended. And
Hmm.
then also that's made me think about our earlier conversation that we started off offline about Deion Sanders and Jackson State, and now how there's this new like fear that, oh my God, all of a sudden all these black kids who would go to Iowa State, who would go to Alabama and all these top
Good,
programs, USC, and now we might lose them because you know
good.
because now Dion is creating these spaces where the black colleges are thinking like, you know what, why don't we just bring in some of our NFL stars to come coach for us and attract kids back to the HBCUs. But it's interesting because again, those lack of understanding, like you said, that young man chose Hunter. He chose Jackson State because of what? One
He
experience.
walked in. He walked in during homecoming and saw
Homecoming.
60,000 black people having a great time, is, enjoying themselves, the barbecue, the football, the bands, the majorettes, and the sororities, and fraternity, like, just enjoying themselves, and you know let some stories be told. Folks don't come together, congregate, and enjoy themselves, educate folks in that way. And I think that, it's not just Dion. I mean, Eddie George with their Tennessee
Eddie
State, and
George,
other
yeah.
folks are certainly, I think that, yes, it's a bit of a renewal because folks need to understand that you have. I never forget one of my friends who had a full ride back in the day. I'm not gonna call her name. She was in Memphis. She ended up going to Spelman, but she went to Spelman. She had full rides to everywhere. Like, she scored like a 34 or something on ACT. She's absolutely brilliant. People are like, why you choose Spelman? Why do you go like to Yale or to Rice? All these people gave her full scholarships, and like, I need to go where I'm going to be welcome and I'm going to be seen as a full person and human being, and not just looked at as an affirmative action baby. And true enough, if I'm at certain PWI, and I always say this when I'm at a predominantly white institution, yeah, I am an affirmative action baby because it opened the door and made it possible for me to be here, but it has nothing to do with my merit and or intelligence. And oftentimes what I found, you remember what we found in our, I'm not going to go there, but let me
We,
just say that oftentimes when you're in certain programs, you'll notice that, oh, this black person right here, they went to Harvard. This person went to Rochester. This person went to Amherst. That person
yeah,
went to Morehouse. Oh, this person went to Grinnell. Oh, that person went to McAllister. Oh, that person went to Stafford.
yeah,
Oh, that person went to Emory. Oh, that person went to Hampton. And then it'll be other folks in there, and these are black folks that you read are other folks that like, oh, and nothing wrong with, I'm just saying, like, black folks that have been to elite schools, 'cause we know we got to work 2 or 3 times as hard to get half as much.
yeah.
And then other folks in a program can barely write, but they're in there, right? But looking at you like you're the affirmative action baby, when in reality, like like you're the person in there that, you're coming, and I don't want to down nobody's school, create a pecking order, but like, let's be real, right? Stafford carries a hell of a whole lot more weight than, I don't know, Long Island University. It
No, I
does.
mean, no, it's facts. It's
There's
facts.
an expectation that if you got into Stanford, went to Stanford, and got out of Stanford, that you should be in possession of some knowledge or some skill set that's gonna, like, is there's an expectation
Yeah,
there,
that sets
right?
you
And that's
apart.
what and schools, build their reputation based off of what their alumni do, right? One of the marching things that Grinnell always is known for is, like, they produce PhDs. For such a small school, so many alumni go on and get advanced degrees. It's because, one of the mantras is you're going to learn how to write. If you don't do anything else, you're gonna be a critical thinker. You're gonna know how to write. So, but yeah, I'm here because of affirmative action, but it has nothing to do with who I am. But I think that folks are starting to decide to go back to HBCUs and start to restore some of the luster that HBCUs lost in the post board, Brown v. Board, and post civil rights and Black Power movement era, late 70s going into the 80s and certainly 90s, there was a decline. But I think, go, you're young, black, and brilliant, and go to school where it suits you best, or where you're gonna, be able to thrive. And if you've been completely and totally brainwashed into thinking that you cannot get a great education and from an HBCU, then you've been sold fool's gold. I was
Yeah,
with my wife, and we were in a Target randomly around the corner from my house. The pharmacist, she was black, she was young. I shot up to her, because everybody's my step cousin, step cousin syndrome, and I said, "I bet you went to HBCU." She said, "How you know?" Because I said, because it's easy. The math is easy. Most black pharmacists went to HBCUs. If the pharmacy schools at HBCUs didn't exist, you have a whole lot less
Yeah.
black pharmacists. And it has nothing to do with intelligence and being able to graduate. You go to a program and you're treated, I got to curse, you're treated like shit. You're treated like a second class citizen. You're expected to fail. Folks don't support you, and you're receiving micro and macro aggressions at every turn. Some people are able to push through that, right? Some people hit back. I hit back, and I have a little fun with it. But some people they shrivel up, and they
Yeah, they fall
need
apart.
to be in an environment where they can thrive. So that's my take and shake on it. I'm like, more power to you, Dion. Elevate that, and yes, Jackson State is a state school, so it should have the same facilities that Ole Miss and Mississippi State has. What's wrong with saying that? It was a shocker to people, but it's the truth. Like,
Yeah, I
what are we
mean,
talking about it?
what's her name from the sister from I should know her name. I don't know why I just forgot. She was in Brooklyn, wrote for the New York for the Atlantic, then ended up get screwed over at Duke, and then ended up at Howard and took the money with her. Nicole,
Uh,
is it Nicole?
um,
Nicole's
the, the 1619 project. Come on, my
1619.
brain is my brain is not my brain is not firing up right now. It's been a tumultuous week, but yeah, I know exactly. Yes,
Nicole's 1619. It's going to bother me. Nicole Hannah Jones. Another
yes,
example of something in that vein. Brought a tremendous amount of money to Duke, but you're not good enough to get tenured. But other garbage professors are getting tenured. You know, and what she do? She took her money. She took her
right.
talents with her to Mecca. Well,
When you are not valued at market value, or if you're not valued as a full, equal human member of society, and you're dealing with some people, not all people, in any stretch of the means, right? But you deal with some people that are very much interested in a restoration and a maintenance of an old order of things that does not include a vision of black people, women, people that are LGBTQ plus, and like they don't if they don't see you as a full human being and equal, why should I grant you tenure at our university? I mean, it's almost like you remember at football camp. I mean, they don't do this no more. But when we were like playing in high school and around the like so like it was always like people's jobs to try and make people quit, right?
listen, that's why they
Right,
invented the bull
right, like
ring. The bull ring. That's
I
why they
wanted
invented
to
that.
make right. I wanted to make you quit because if you're in the playoffs and you don't want to put in the work to be able to not quit in the fourth quarter overtime, I'd rather for you to quit, the beginning of the season, right? And if you're willing to put in the work, I'm gonna roll with you to, I'm still the closest with guys that I played ball with. Everybody else in high school, college, I was halfway forget. Oh yeah, I know, I remember you. But the guys I played ball with, because we were willing to put in the work together. And the problem is, even when we're willing to put in the work together in certain spaces, people still won't give us give us the leeway to be, or people still won't see us as an equal. We're going to be branded as the outcast, and not to say all predominantly white institutions are that way, but let's be real, some are that way, right? The institution itself, some it's the professors that very much guard this old way, right? Because our livelihoods and our industry counts on it. So it's one where uh, sometimes you gotta, kick in a door and make a door where there was no door, and then sometimes you just need to say, no, I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach, or take
Yeah,
my talents to where I'm gonna be respected, and I'm gonna be honored, and I'm gonna be treasured, and I'm not gonna be stressed. And I'm too fat, too black, too ugly, too many degrees to be dealing with this.
exactly.
I don't know. I've been on my biggest smiles lately. I just said, uh, uh, I miss that guy. Who else could make fat, black, ugly guys like sexy, like for a short period of
Yeah,
time?
big black and ugly as
Fat,
ever.
black, and ugly as ever. However, I say, and then my favorite, the
Stay
best
Gucci
line
down to the
probably in rap
socks.
history. I know my Memphis folks to get mad at me, but I'm just birthdays were the worst days. That we drink
What's it?
champagne
Pain
when
when we
we're
thirsty.
thirsty. I mean, I mean, and so anyway, they're like, when did you come with the biggie? I don't know. I just been on my biggie. Uh, but
Well,
move
yeah,
to where you feel respected. Move to where you feel respected, where you can find some semblance of peace if you can. And again, if you continue to struggle that way, I always think about just, hey, finding you some property in West Africa, Barbados, Antigua, just get out of Dodge if that's what you got to do. But have a plan. Beyonce got y'all like, I won't kill myself. Have a plan. Plan that out. Don't quietly quit on kids. Don't do that. But if you're going to
yeah.
leave, be strategic. Be strategic and have a plan to make sure you and your family are okay. And know it's all about your wellness. If you are not well, you're not serving kids in school anyway. You think you are. You think you're doing a great job, but you're not. If you're not well, let's be. And I'm 100 on that.
I agree with you on that because and even the notion of well looks different to different people, and not being well looks different to different people as well. And often we press on in spaces and we stay way too long to become bitter, and we don't even realize it. And we're spewing at kids, we're spewing at people around us, and that's something that we need to really take care of. And I felt like I had to jump ship from where I was because I was starting to feel that. Like I was starting to feel like, okay, wait a minute, this don't feel good. This don't feel safe anymore, and that's something that's very, very important, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're making, like, I love what you said, have a plan and make the decision that's best for you, so you're healthy. Because if you're not healthy and you're in front of kids, I'm telling you, you're gonna hurt kids.
Again, if you find yourself not laughing, like again, people that know me know I enjoy laughter. I enjoy black boy joy and just ensuring that um, kids just get a chance to be. I think maybe I talked about it before, and who was that? Dr. Derek Nelson in an article, talks about black boyhood being unimagined and unimaginable and unimagined, right? Yeah, like give kids spaces to be kids, and they mess up, and you laugh with them and learn with them and grow with them, and know that a kid that you had in seventh grade might have been nutted in a fruitcake. But what was that? Principal out in Brooklyn, when I visited school, I think it was at Eagle Academy, said, "Oh, we wait kids out." Right? Sometimes you gotta wait kids out.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if my people hadn't waited me out, I promise you, I would be, I wouldn't be. If I hadn't been waited out, I wouldn't be sitting here as a husband, as a father, as a doctoral student, as a VP of the company. Like I wouldn't be. I, yeah, they had to wait me out because I did some crazy stuff, right? And yeah. Um, Make sure if you're in there, you continue to laugh. If you don't find yourself laughing, don't be afraid to get the help you need in order to be successful. And I'm not advocating that you step away, but if you find yourself needing to make a change, don't be afraid to let go and make that change. And then also don't be afraid to be unapologetically yourself. That doesn't mean that you have to go off the deep end with super radical, this, that, and the other. But no, you need to be yourself and be authentic and make sure that kids know it's okay. And I think I always have fun when I'm walking through an airport, or I'm going to a plant or something like that, and you walk through the airport in the middle of the day, all these people are in suits, and I'm in a suit, and then the kid looks down and see like what's the AJKO canvas orange on off white on cream J's, and they're like, yo, and they're like, what do you do? Right? And we just have a little mini conversation. They're like, yo, okay, I see this brother in a suit and he got the, clean sneakers coming through here and got a little orange accent. Have fun and enjoy and make sure folks know that it's okay to be you.
So right now it's 11:06, and I think it's time for us to wrap it up. Some of us got to be work in the morning. But before we jump off, I just want to do this. Final words. From brother Archie, and then followed from me. But one thing I want to say is, for those of you who've been on and been watching, and you're like, this is a very different format. Honestly, this is just two brothers coming together and just chopping it up, and nuggets that just fall in that space. Sometimes the formalized, let's script everything is not even necessary. But let's be honest here. We are of that African tradition of dialogue and just talking and letting things build to where they need to build to. And I listen, guarantee you probably could go for another 2 or 3 hours just chopping it up, But again, just know that, this space here is also supposed to be inviting for you to join in the conversation. But I'm gonna ask, Brother Archie, final words. What are the takeaways from this evening, that from all the things we talked about? Anything particular that want somebody to walk away with?
Um, I So again, I apologize if things weren't as formal. We can certainly do. I do a lot of formal events, and I can do the well-rounded vowels and all that. But I think that the best conversations are when you just get two folks authentically having a conversation about issues that impact a lot of us. And I think that if I wanted folks to be able to walk away with something, is to say. You have this whole life thing that you have to be able to live for yourself, and taking care of yourself is absolutely utterly important if you have aspirations of taking care of others that you deeply care about. And I care about a lot of folks. So when folks are, wondering why I'm so into making sure that I am okay, um, it's because I want to be able to continue to serve the folks that I deeply care about. On that note, I'm in Memphis. I live outside of Baltimore now, but I'm in Memphis because I lost my grandfather last week. His funeral was yesterday. He was a titan of a man that had a sixth grade education, but sent any of his children to college that they wanted to go. And he just lived an amazing life. It was just full of so much knowledge. He probably should have been a first black senator in Mississippi, but again, the other kind of big takeaway is for people out there that don't think they owe folks. There are so many people that we owe to be our best, that we just need to make sure that we pay that silent debt by putting in the work. And again, it ain't cotton field work, folks. So get out there and be your best, do your best, and create opportunities for yourself and for others. Don't do it alone. Don't move up alone. Make sure others are moving up with you, and just make sure that you're honoring your ancestors and other folks' ancestors by again, trying to become the best version of yourself. That's all I got for everyone. Y'all be well. Be safe.
And thank you so much for that. And I'm gonna piggyback on what you said by saying the running theme for me through this conversation has been the fact that so often we shy away from being authentically who we are. And yes, fact of society. Sometimes we gotta wear the right mask for the right situation, But the goal is to no longer wear that mask. So whether it's is throwing them J's on with your suit and because that's what you feel comfortable in, whether it's being okay with just being truthful about what you're experiencing in whatever circumstance it is. It does bother me that we have a lot of teachers out there who are in schools and who are in situations, even administrators who are miserable, and they're doing it in silence. And my thing is, if you're gonna be miserable, might as well have fun too. Be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, laugh, enjoy. And if you're in a situation where that's not permitted or you make to feel weird because you want to be joyful, then listen, there is in New York City alone, there's 1,800 schools in New York City. So now multiply that by across the state, across multiple states, across the country. Like, you don't have to be spaces where you're not welcomed. And it's funny because now I got Nicole Hammond-Jones in my brain, and that situation, she went to Duke with millions of dollars, and they didn't do right by her. And then eventually they did offer her that tenure, and what she said, too late. I'm gonna take my talents to Mecca, and she went to Howard. Sometimes we just gotta move like that, and yeah, it's just you gotta be happy. You gotta be happy, And again, I want to stand by Brother Archie by saying, I'm not advocating that you walk away from what you love, but I do advocate walking away from what's making you sick. So but with that being said, guys, listen, every Wednesday at 10 p.m., me and my brother are gonna be here chopping up, having a conversation. It's a free flow format, and join us. You just never know what we're gonna be talking about. But on Sundays, I'm on there covering current topics in education. Then we have Friday nights. I'm back on with teacher therapy, where last week was actually kind of fun. People called in and literally shared what they're going through in their spaces, whatever the case is, and left a lot of comments. So again, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, join the Sneaker Principle, but specifically on Wednesdays, this is Ivy League Hoodrats. Just letting you know, you never know what you might walk into. So I appreciate all of you guys who joined us this evening. Have an amazing night, and see y'all soon, all right? Peace.